Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Heat Wave. 32 teams in 32 days, breaking down every single fantasy relevant player on each team for the upcoming season. Today, we are going to be focusing on the defending champion, Los Angeles Rams. I am your host, the Fantasy Plug, Tim Petropolis, EIC of BrotoFantasy.com and the Fantasy Football by Broto app. I am joined by my brother Jason, the true value king and director of operations at Broto, Matt Ward, the Dynasty Don, the fantasy encyclopedia himself and lead writer at Broto, and of course, the genius of fantasy, Broto lead data analyst and the developer of the Fantasy Football by Broto app, Santiago Casanova. Speaking of that app, download the Fantasy Football by Broto app for free today to get every tool you need to become your own expert and dominate fantasy football. Every stat you hear us use today can be found on the app, where there are fantasy player cards, which on the front is a player profile of their athletic profile, and then the back is every single fantasy relevant stat you need. Really, everything you need to do research on a paper, on a player in one card. Fantasy player grades, Broto, which is a Broto exclusive. Usage charts, start sit tool, who to draft tool, player comps, consistency charts, game logs, coaching tendencies, articles, podcasts, rankings, waivers, and every single stat you need, including advanced stats and Broto exclusive stats, true throw value, true target value, true performance value, adjusted air yards, and true matchup ranking, my personal favorite. The app is free because of our patrons over at patreon.com/BrotoFantasy. Thank you so much to the patrons. You guys are keeping the lights on, for real. Join now to support the show, the app, and join the best community in the world. For as little as $3 a month, you get an extra waiver wire show every single week, access to BRoto Leagues. Does your league suck? This will not. It is the greatest. So I'm in a dynasty startup right now with these people, and it's literally, I wrote today, this is my favorite draft of all time. Proven DFS cash game optimizers, access to cheat sheets, private team consultations, the most unique fantasy league in the world. Oh man, I can't wait to make that announcement to the patrons. And access to the greatest community in the world, not just the fantasy world, the Broto community on Discord. If you enjoy the show, if you enjoy the app, please consider joining. Your contributions go a long way. Today we are jumping into the LA Rams, baby, the champs. I've talked too much in a row. I want to see what's good with you guys before we get into these Rams. How you guys feeling today? You guys ready to get started?
Yeah, I'm fired up.
I'm feeling. I was gonna come up with a ram pun. I couldn't figure it out.
Rambunctious.
Horny. Feeling horny.
I was excited to have Jason here up until that flounder of a moment.
Bro, can I get rambunctious though? Could I get a little?
Yeah, no, like it was right there on the table for him.
All right. So with these guys,
I prefer horny.
If you want to see us, if you want to see all these guys and how horny or rambunctious they are, you can go to YouTube.com/BrotoFantasy. Again, we're more of a audio focused and writing focused entity, but if you want us to stay on this video format, if you like it, the way to do it is to keep pressing play, and we'll keep giving you what you want. With that being said, let's get into these Rams and the offensive outlook. Basically, the summary of what their coaching is going to look like and what their offense is going to look like. Head coach Sean McVay heading into his sixth season. Kevin O'Connell is now the Vikings head coach. He's been the offensive coordinator for the last 2 years. That position now goes to a guy named Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen was the assistant wide receiver coach for the Rams from 2018 to 2020. And then last year was the offensive coordinator for Kentucky in college football. And he was in the top 30% in college scoring, 34 out of 120 teams. Last year, the Rams were 7th in points per game. They passed 59.1% of the time. That was in the top 10. So Sean McVay, one of those guys where it's hard to predict his offense every year because he can go and be the Todd Gurley coach McVay that makes Todd Gurley the best, or he could be in the top 10 of passing. That's, he plays to his personnel. And according to PFF, their O-line, who lost Andrew Whitworth, of course, is ranked 11th. Their additions, the big one, wide receiver Allen Robinson, a smaller one, wide receiver Ray McLeod. The rookies they brought in was Tyrion Davis-Price. By the way, first name Tyrion, money. If your first name's Tyrion, I fucks with you. Third round, and wide receiver Danny Gray, third round. Subtractions. These are big ones. It's going to be a little bit of a new look for the Rams. Left tackle Andrew Whitworth, wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., the ice cream sandwich himself, wide receiver Robert Woods, and running back Sony Michel. Let's start with the quarterback. Right now, it looks as though we're not going to see any sort of Matt Stafford in the preseason whatsoever. He's dealing with some stuff, but he should be fine. I'm not concerned. He's a veteran. Matt Stafford was a great fantasy quarterback last year. He was one of the leaders in true value, if not the leader in true throw value. How are we feeling about Matt Stafford and his ability to lead your team in fantasy again?
Just to confirm, he was the leader of True Throw Value
There you
last
go.
season.
There you go.
Check out the True Value Olympics, new article series that I just dropped for BRoto. I don't think you should have any concerns about drafting Matt Stafford, especially at his cost. He's QB 11, going in the 8th round, or 84 overall. So you shouldn't have any concerns. Leader in True Throw Value. He had essentially a career year, a career resurgence too, after, what was not the greatest end to his Detroit tenure, but threw for 4,886 yards, 41 touchdowns, 8.1 yards per attempt. So that was a career high. He's still slinging it at a super high rate. So you don't have to worry about his arm strength. And like, we know who Matt Stafford is. He's not going to give you a ton of rushing upside, but at QB 11, that's kind of understood. And I think his weapons are better this year, if not, or better than they are this year than they were last year. I really like Allen Robinson. I think Cooper Kupp is going to regress a little, but can put up very similar numbers, especially with an outside threat. So, yeah, I mean, like I feel really good. I don't think you should have any quarrels about drafting Matt Stafford at QB 11.
I think Matt Stafford, the only thing with him is like you said, he's not going to have that rushing upside. So his ceiling is capped at like quarterback 6. You're not going to have one of the top half quarterbacks in the league, but you're going to have someone that you can count on, someone that's going to put numbers up on the board. And in the 11th round, that's someone that you could definitely draft and have a good time. And speaking of having a good time, his wide receivers are going to have a good time because he is the true value king. And what that means, true throw value, an exclusive BRoto stat, is how many fantasy points is your throw worth? That's basically what we're trying to solve. And we solved it in its true throw value. And Matt Stafford's balls were worth the most fantasy points. Every single time he threw the ball, it was worth the most fantasy points. So now the people who are going to take advantage of that are obviously Cooper Kupp, who was one of the reasons why that was such a situation. And the guy I really want to talk about, Allen Robinson, because I think Cooper Kupp, you're taking him as a top 3 wide receiver. You're kind of taking that to the bank. I don't see any reason why you should think that Cooper Kupp, should you expect a historically great all-time season again? No. Should you expect a very good to great fantasy season? Yes, just like Matt said. So I want to know about Allen Robinson. How are we feeling about this wide receiver room in LA?
I mean, you said it best. Cooper Kupp. I don't think we're gonna be seeing those super incredible numbers. But I did a regression, quote unquote, analysis on TDs, for example, for wide receivers, comparing last season's predicted touchdowns to the real touchdowns. And Cooper Kupp had a predicted, he had an insane 17 touchdowns last season, right? Which is pretty much unrepeatable. And what the prediction does is gives you an idea whether they're going to go up or down next season. He had a predicted 12.2 touchdowns. So for the model to expect him to score 12 touchdowns is absolutely insane. And that's not taking into account really player talent. So if you think the player is better than the average, he's going to have more touchdowns than the prediction on average. So I could still expect upwards of 14, 15 touchdowns for Cooper Kupp, which is insane. Pretty much historic. So the repetition is probably not out of the question, I would say.
I love it.
Right now, he's not even wide receiver 1 in Sleeper. He's wide receiver 2, which is interesting. I think if you can draft him 1, 2, or 3, you're golden. If it drops more, you're robbing people. But 1's not out of the question either for me.
Real quick.
Yeah.
One number, 1 through 12. I'm going to go through each one of you guys. So just each one of you give me one number. What's the earliest you would draft a wide receiver?
This year?
In like single QB?
Single QB.
1-1.
1.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. 1.
Yeah, 1-1. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like,
All right.
duh.
All right. We're all on the same page. I still wouldn't draft any of these wide receivers over Jonathan Taylor. I think you guys are bugging a little bit, but
Nah, bro.
I would
mean,
do it at 1-2 maybe.
That all also depends on like if you're really playing ADP and looking at roster build and board, you're much more likely to get a running back that can like land in the top 5 at the back end of the second than Jonathan Taylor to repeat his RB1 season at 1-1.
Especially like PPR. PPR, I'm definitely going.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
Cooper Kupp.
Like you could the running back that you get at 212.
Chase.
Yeah.
All those 3
100%.
guys are kind of.
I got no problem with taking one of those. And
I'm standing up for the running backs.
Is CMC,
I'm standing up for the running backs. Speaking, let's keep going with these.
Hold on, because am I the only one here that is not in love with Allen Bernard Robinson II?
I don't know.
No, I love him.
About it. I'm
yeah. So
I think he's a mid-range wide receiver too. Maybe I'm not.
I think he's being drafted at his ceiling. Like, why is everyone ignoring the fact that motherfucker sucked last year?
Whoa.
He fucking sucked, guys.
We're on YouTube
like,
now,
tell
man.
Me why, tell me why Allen Robinson didn't suck last year. Why did he get jumped by Darnell Mooney?
I mean, I could see how he does. He just
Why?
didn't really want to give his all last year. He was hurt, and
that's some
he
bullshit.
was in a contract
and we're talking
year.
About a guy, but this is a guy who's done this in his career. He's gone over 800 yards 2 out of the last 5 years. He's gone over 6 touchdowns once out of the last 5 years. This is a guy who just disappears. And it's entirely possible that he could have a 1,310 season again. But with Cooper Kupp in town and a McVay offense that does like to run the ball, as Tim always points out, are we sure that Allen Robinson isn't just going to be that guy again? The guy who fails to reach 800 yards, the guy who fails to reach 7 touchdowns? I'm out on Allen Robinson. I don't know why everyone is just assuming that he's going to be Matt Stafford's new guy. Just because he kind of rejuvenated OBJ. OBJ's better than Allen Robinson ever was.
Oh, okay. Cass,
is better or was better? Like, if you're comparing their peaks, I think Odo's peak was way better than Allen Robinson's peak. But are we sure? Like,
but is
2021 OBJ is so much better than 2021 Allen Robinson?
What did Allen Robinson do in 2021?
What did OBJ do in 2021?
He went to the Rams and became a good player.
Exactly.
In the playoffs.
That's exactly what I'm expecting.
Oh, hey, that's how.
Oh,
Bars.
I got something for
hold
you.
on.
No, because
OBJ's
a better player.
That's exactly what he's. All right, Cass, what are you expecting on Allen Robinson? Let the wide receiver man talk wide receivers.
All that shit I just said. I do not think Allen Robinson is being drafted where he should be drafted. He's going a little early for me.
Okay.
Wide receiver 24 ADP on Sleeper is a little steep for a guy that we haven't seen. Like last year, he was terrible. He had like an F true fantasy grade. Like if you check the true BRoto grades, that's an F. However, if you go 2 years back, he was 10th, like wide receiver 10 in points per game. He had a 24.5 target share. And to see such a steep decline last year is just kind of unprecedented because he's not that old. That situation was just bad for him. Bad coaching, bad quarterback play, bad everything. So if you bring him to a McVay offense with Matthew Stafford, I'm not expecting him to be wide receiver 10, not even wide receiver 24. But he has low-end wide receiver 2 upside. And I think he's being drafted a little high, but around real price. I think both the hype and the hate are unwarranted.
Allen Robinson's going to be 29 in 1 month. So
that's young for a wide receiver.
Yeah,
still.
not a spring chicken.
I mean, not young, but just not dying.
It's also his 8th season. Came into the league.
Yeah, but like Allen Robinson has played in 16 games in four times in his career. Missed an entire season due to an injury, essentially. And in all of those 16 games played, 151 targets, 150 targets, 153 targets, 151 targets.
That's not going to happen this year.
Like what?
That's why he's not being drafted in the top 10. Yeah. But exactly. Like why he's capable of.
And last year, he missed some games, but his per game targets were not on that level at all.
Yeah, but Cass is right. For such a steep drop off in career target share of somebody that consistently earns over 20
idiots.
Yeah, which I don't really.
Or we can expect a little bit of a bounce back.
Right. That's what I mean.
So
And
Cass,
the argument is just to kind of, I guess, to, you know, calm down the hate, because I agree with Cass and Jason. Wide receiver 24 is right around that. Like, okay, if I'm doing that, I probably already have 2 wide receivers
Right.
already.
Yeah.
And
You don't want him as
you
a
know what I
number
mean?
2.
2, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm not drafting him as my wide receiver 2. That would depend on roster build. And that is essentially what his ADP is indicating for the majority of people. They are relying on him to be their wide receiver 2. So but I do think Allen Robinson is a much better player right now than we saw last season.
so if you want to get into these, we're talking about snap percentages and all that. And if you want to get into these snap percentages and you want to get them easily, for me, I know that snap percentages were one of the hardest stats to find on a page that wasn't like it's just so hard to find. But on the BRoto app, it's so easy. So Cass, why don't you take them through the BRoto tip of the day and the all-encompassing game logs?
I mean, yeah, the game logs are like you said, all encompassing to a degree, because you get all the little nuggets of information you need for a player in this exact same in the same spot, right? So you can select the player, which, by the way, the magic happened again. I did not select Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson got selected by the app, so
It's
we
just
got a
a
little bit of
magic.
magic.
It's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
like a little voodoo.
And we
so
should
be
talk
aware.
about Van.
We will when we come back, but you can select the player of the season, and then you get a breakdown of every single week. And what this is their PPR finish, and when you click on the week, you get their snap percentage, standard points, half points, PPR points, and then all the stats they had that week: rushing, receiving, fumbles. Well, not rushing for wide receivers in this case. And you can also get game information, so who it was against, the score, and at the bottom a summary of the entire season with snap percentage, points, stats, and their fantasy finish. So it's all encompassing.
You know, a lot of the things on BRoto
Fire.
are exclusive, but this one's not exactly exclusive. You get game logs other places. The best part of this is that it gives you the fantasy points in all 3 formats, and the most important, it gives you the wide receiver number that they finished. If I got to tell you how much time in my life I've spent on the Yahoo app, on the game logs, counting the number of freaking tight ends and to get to the Hughes tight end 23. Like, oh my God, the amount of times I've done that. And the game logs are great just for that feature. No one else does that feature. Let's talk about Van Jefferson before we move on to the running backs then. Matt, you wanted to mention Van Jefferson. Talk to us, bro.
Oh, I think Van Jefferson sucks.
Okay, so basically, we do not have to talk about Van Jefferson. He's gonna be I think there's gonna be a lot of the same.
I mean, he has an ADP, especially in best ball, and because we don't have the mic here to talk about it, I kind of want to touch on it because we've been touching on best ball a lot. So it was in my head to bring that up. His best ball ADP, I think, is ludicrous. He's going, as you know, in the top 50 wide receivers in some drafts, and I think that's absolutely insane. And he has been the product of essentially what we talked about. And it was just a product of the fact that Matthew Stafford delivers the most valuable pass in the NFL. So when he's getting 5 targets, and which is, a ridiculously low ceiling of targets to expect consistent fantasy production. But when he gets 5 targets and levies all 5 of those targets into receptions, they're really valuable because Matthew Stafford is who he is. It's not a product of Van Jefferson being able to command that many targets consistently or being able to get that many receptions. He's going to give you a spike week, not even multiple.
I feel like
that's it though. On Sleeper, he has a bit of a lower ADP. He's wide receiver 68. And for what he gets you, that's not terrible, honestly. He's the number 3 option. Debatable. Number 4 maybe on the Rams receiving wise. And he'll get you like he averaged 9.1 points per game, which is not great, but that's also not bad at all.
Yeah, and Allen Robinson's injury prone, and so there's a world where Van Jefferson becomes a fantasy viable player.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate him at ADP.
But if everything stays the same, now I mean it's not a guy. Yes, not a guy that I'm going to be actively searching out.
Nah.
One guy that a bunch of people might be actively searching out is Cam Akers. Cam Akers is one of the more interesting cases for me, and I see everyone kind of have the same reaction. And that's because the Broto just like we're not Cam Akers guys. Let's get into it. I'm Matt. I know you got your running backs on this section, right? Right?
I think it's
I am
no.
Mr.
I mean, I was, yeah,
Jason.
I was
Jason's
trying to
running
look
back.
beneath me.
My bad. Jason's
guy.
running back.
Your
Jason,
job is to
sorry,
know
yeah,
who
I
you're
know.
passing it to.
I know. I closed that tab by accident. Jason, talk to us. How are you feeling about Cam Akers?
I don't hate Cam Akers, man. And
Wow,
maybe,
everyone else does.
yeah, I guess since I haven't been on the podcast in a little bit, you thought everyone on Broto hated him. But he's running back 15 right now, and there's some value there, man, because it is worth noting that he was awful last year. I won't curse about how awful he was because we're on YouTube now. All right, Dad, Tim. But he looked really bad in the playoffs. He had a yards per carry less than 3. The thing is, though, in those games, 95% of his yards came after contact. He played the Niners twice. He played the Bucks. Those were 2 very good rush defenses at the end of the year. The thing that stands out to me is that he played 81% of the snaps. He came back from injury, a torn Achilles, and played 81% of the snaps. Dude, you know who didn't come back from injury and play 81% of the snaps? The only other running back on the team that's worth mentioning, Darrell Henderson. Even though Darrell Henderson played well when he was the starter last year. So Sean McVay clearly wants to feed this guy named Cam Akers. And I know he's dealing with an injury that no one's ever really come back effectively from. But Sean McVay, as Tim likes to say, the best offenses in the league are still run-first offenses. They also have great quarterbacks, Tim. But Sean McVay does love to run the ball. And if there's a guy on the Rams getting 75% of the snaps or more, then he can easily be an RB1. So while I'm concerned about Cam Akers' injury, he would be being drafted higher if he didn't return last year and didn't look so bad in the playoffs.
I think
he'd be a top 12 running back pick right now.
And I'd be even more mad at it.
I know Matt.
Tripping, bro.
Matt's the encyclopedia, and I know he's got stats just ready to go.
Yeah, I've got something. I do have something very specific for Cam Akers ready for this.
Yeah. So talk to the people because I think you're about to tell them what I was going to say anyway.
Something that we've talked about on other episodes, and Jason makes a really good point. If you think that Cam Akers is really going to be able to take that amount of volume and sustain that amount of volume, because it's not just 80% of the snaps, he's going to need an 80% opportunity share. We're talking about he needs 320 touches because before he tore his Achilles, even in that 6-week stretch that everybody loves as a rookie, those games are included because before that, he only had 37 total touches in the NFL before those last 6 weeks when he broke out. So before tearing his Achilles, points per opportunity, 72nd. Points per opportunity excluding touchdowns, 51st. Yards per touch, 38th. Rushing yards over expected per attempt, 23rd. True yards per carry, 57th. Juke rate, 44th. Yards created per touch, 51st. Expected points, 151st. He's not good.
I love animated Matt, son. He gets me
so you know who else wasn't good,
bro?
Like 2 years ago,
Najee Harris.
Najee Harris, but he was an RB1.
David
Johnson, but he ended as an RB1.
He needs 300 touches. And if you think that Cam Akers is going to sustain 300 touches in this offense, then 100% draft him. And draft him at RB16 because that's roughly around where he's going.
If you're waiting on running back and you have 2 wide receivers and Cam Akers is there and you need a running back and you're chasing upside, I don't hate it. Just grab Darrell Henderson later.
I do agree, but it's going to be a volume play. He's not as efficient and good and as explosive as everybody thinks.
Yo, he tore his Achilles. Are we ignoring that part?
This was before his Achilles.
Does he have menisci?
That is a good point.
Before his Achilles, in that hot 6 weeks, he was below the 30th percentile in every category.
Plus an Achilles.
And now he's got it.
Did you bring out the medical journals today, Cass, or no?
I did not, because we all
Oh,
know
okay.
Achilles are bad.
But I do have a little bit of something. There is a brand new procedure that Kevin Durant got it. He was one of the first athletes, and Cam Akers got it and had the rehabilitation process kind of even more tuned in. So it is a brand new procedure. It's a super small incision now. Like, they don't have to open you up wide, so you can heal super quickly from it. And I do think that it's going to kind of start going in the way that ACLs used to be career enders, and then guys would struggle with efficiency before all of the rehab and everything got like tuned in, and now you just see guys bounce back in 11 months at their peak still. I do think it's probably going in that direction, but I don't know that we can count on like the second guy ever to be that guy.
Yeah,
Can I
and
ask
also, like, I want to mention, I think this procedure is what allowed him to even come back last year, and
Yeah.
then I think it's gonna allow him to be an NFL running back, even an NFL starting running back. But and that's just impressive in its own right. But to be a top 20 back in the league, that's saying a lot.
I
in
want to
my opinion.
mention Daryl Henderson because I feel like he doesn't get nearly enough love, and I feel like if you're gonna get that Achilles surgery, like then there's a chance that all the bitch assness that rubbed off on Kevin Durant might rub off on you. I hope not. That doesn't go on with Kevin at
That
Cam
was
Akers.
hilarious.
But I thought that is one thing that's concerning. But Daryl Henderson, like this guy continues to be mad productive in this offense, and then it's always the same story with him. He's good, and then Sean McVay's like, no more. I must start another running back over you, no matter who it is, whether it's Sony Michel or whether it's Cam Akers. So I think he's a great handcuff still, because Sony Michel's not there anymore. But I think he's nothing more than a handcuff. Shouldn't be treated that way. Tight ends. Tyler Higbee. That's it. That's my entire.
I mean, man, you gave me tight ends. You gave me tight ends for the Rams to cover, and it's like I don't need to cover them because linebackers and defensive linemen can.
Oh, talk to him.
Like, it's really like man, just don't draft Tyler Higbee. Like,
I mean,
please.
This makes up for all the time we spent on wide receivers. All right,
I'll say,
let's go to,
if you don't believe in Allen Robinson,
there we go.
If you don't believe in Allen Robinson, someone else has to catch passes.
So you are you on the
That's
Tyler
just
Higbee
like
train this year?
Dart throw. Like,
Yo,
don't
Cass,
draft him as your starting tight end, but I can see Tyler Higbee being relevant.
Yo, Cass, can we throw the throwback Rams logo up in that corner?
Oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's throw that throwback Rams.
Oh,
logo
fire!
Oh, there it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's
I like
that's
the
a
navy
throwback
and the gold.
to Tyler Higbee also being good. But I mean, I see what you're what you're saying. I do see what you're saying, Jason. He could be a dart throw tight end, but I feel like he could be a good dart throw tight end. Is the same sentence you could say for every single tight end. Probably except Chris Herndon ever. All right. Let's go with the bold predictions. Cass, you're up first. What's your bold prediction, sir?
My bold prediction: Cam Akers outside top 24 running backs.
Oh,
Cass, can I just piggyback? Can I just hop on?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been it. I don't even think that is that spicy either.
If you talk to Jason, maybe
I'll go with I want to go more positive one. On the upside swing, I guess we're just beating down Jason today because I think Allen Robinson will pay off at ADP.
Okay. Jason,
Maybe that's not bold enough. Wide receiver 15.
You see Jason's face right there. This is what Jason was thinking in his head.
I had to go bold, boys.
My bold prediction is Allen Robinson outside of the top 36.
Wow, 36.
All right, so I'll go wide receiver.
Also
18.
very possible. Honestly,
there you go.
Both equally possible.
Yeah, it's true, man.
All right, I'm gonna go positive because you guys are taking the negative train. I'm gonna go with Cooper Kupp ends the year wide receiver 2, just short of wide receiver 1.
How is that possible?
Bold, bro.
Because
you should have said he breaks his. You should have said bold prediction. I'm going to be positive. He breaks all of his records from last season.
I got a
prediction. Cooper Kupp is good.
I'm hanging my hat on CeeDee Lamb this year. I think CeeDee Lamb is going to be my ride or die this year. I wrote an article about him. I got him in Dynasty. I'm on the CeeDee Lamb train right now. Anyway, so I can't really
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, what are you talking about, bro? I'm lost.
Because I can't say Cup is gonna be 1 because that's gonna be my hot take. Is CeeDee Lamb's gonna be number 1. I already had that hot take in the Cowboys episode. So yeah, there you go. I can't double up on hot takes. Then I'm just like hot cakes. You know, you can flip me any way you want. Anyway, that was kind of bars, right?
That was bars.
All right. I'm Broto FF Tim. If you want the bars, Broto FF Casanova for the smoothest man in the industry. Psych Ward FF for Mr. Matt Ward. Still animated Matt is my favorite thing ever. And then
I get hyped.
finally at Broto FF Jason for the most special of the guests. Jason, you can follow at Broto FF Mike. He's on a plane to Greece right now, right?
He leaves in 17 minutes.
Bro, I gotta text him good luck. All right, I'm gonna do that in between these broadcasts. Tomorrow we're gonna come back to you with the who do you guys want to do next? You want to do Niners? Niners.
How much you want to bet?
Sure.
Tim does not do the Niners after this break.
I have a bad streak, but
Tomorrow we're doing a different one.
Nah, we got this. Jason, I see what you're doing. Later.